Hey everyone, and welcome back, or if you're new here, my name is Josh, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the US Bank Altitude Go card. So I'll be going over the main features of this card, its pros as well as its drawbacks. So hopefully by the end of this video you should have a much better idea of whether or not this credit card is a good fit for you. But before we go ahead and dive into the main features of this card, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm. And also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Also, if you would like to receive a few free stocks in a pinned comment below as well as in the description box, I will be leaving a few different links where you can receive just that. And with Webull, for a limited period of time, if you open up an account and deposit at least 1 penny, you will be receiving 20 stocks for free, with each stock being worth at least $3. So that's going to be worth at least $60 in free stocks. Okay, so diving right into the main features of the US Bank Altitude Go card, we're going to start out by talking about points and how exactly you can earn them. So you will be earning 4 points per dollar spent on dining, takeout, and restaurant delivery. You'll be earning 2 points per dollar spent at grocery stores, grocery delivery, streaming services, gas stations, and EV charging stations. And then on all other transactions, you will be earning 1 point per dollar spent. Now with this card for the first year alone, there's also going to be a spend bonus, so you'll be earning 20,000 points as long as you're able to spend at least $1,000 within the first 90 days of having this card. That's around $333 in monthly spend on average, which is going to be achievable for most people. So basically you're getting a 20% discount with the $200 bonus, as long as you're able to spend the $1,000 within the first 90 days, which once again, for most people, probably isn't going to be that big of a challenge. Now, as far as redeeming those points go, you will have a few different options. So you can choose between gift cards, cash back, using them for travel, and a whole lot more than that. There are also some additional benefits you have for this card. So starting out, probably the biggest benefit of this card is the fact that you are going to be receiving the $15 streaming service credit after 11 months of streaming purchases. This is going to include services such as Amazon Music, Amazon Prime Video, Apple Music, ESPN Plus, YouTube Premium, YouTube TV, and many others as well. So those are the main features of this card. At this point, we are going to go ahead and dive into the APR and fees, because this is something that definitely should not be overlooked either. So starting out your purchase APR for a limited period of time, for the first 12 billing cycles, it is going to be 0%. So let's say, for example, you have a lot of larger transactions that are coming up that you absolutely have to make. Well, you could consider throwing it on this card, and instead of having to pay it off within 1 month, you'll actually have 12 months to pay it off, because once again, for the first 12 billing cycles, you will have a 0% intro APR, whereas with another card, you might have an APR that's say like 24%, where you would have to pay it off almost immediately, and if you didn't, you'd be paying interest. Well, once again, with this card for the first 12 billing cycles, you are going to have a 0% introductory APR. Of course, you will want to make sure to make at least the minimum payment. That way you will not have a late payment fee. Now, on top of that, you're also going to have an introductory APR on balance transfers as well. So let's just say, for instance, that currently you have another credit card where you're paying a lot of interest on a month-to-month basis. Perhaps you have like an interest rate, once again, let's say like 20% for instance, and you have like a $5,000 or $10,000 balance. Well, you could consider transferring the balance from that card over to this card, and even though you will be paying a fee to complete this balance transfer, you will have a 0% APR for the first 12 billing cycles on this balance transfer. So that's also something you could certainly consider as well. So for the first 12 months on both purchases and balance transfers, once again, you are going to have a 0% introductory APR for the first 12 months. Now, after the first 12 months are up, you'll definitely want to make sure to pay off those balances in full, whether it's on your purchases or on your balance transfer, because after the first 12 months are up, it is going to be shooting up to anywhere between 18.24 to 29.24% based on your credit worthiness. Now, as far as cash advances go, on this channel, I always recommend people to stay far away from cash advances for numerous reasons. Just my personal choice. This obviously should not be considered financial advice, but if you do happen to take out a cash advance for whatever reason, just know that your APR on those is going to be a whopping 29.99%. Now, on top of that, you're also going to have some fees faced with those cash advances and some fees with the balance transfer that I just mentioned as well. So at this point, we're going to go over what those fees are. So as far as cash advances go, the fee is going to be either 5% or $10, whichever happens to be greater. So for instance, if you do a $100 cash advance, in that case, you are going to be hit with a $10 fee because that's greater than the 5%, which in that case would be $5. Now, as far as balance transfers go, those is either going to be 3% of your balance transfer or $5, whichever happens to be greater. Now, as far as a late or return payment goes, on those, you will be faced with a fee of up to $41. Now, if you happen to maybe pay late for the first time or maybe the second time, it is possible that you could actually call into US Bank and see if they will waive that fee. Usually for the first or second time they might do so. I wouldn't really push your luck past then, but I would definitely try to call in. But just in order to avoid paying late, you might consider maybe setting up automatic payments, or you could always set it up on your calendar, on your phone, whatever works best for you. I would just make sure to pay on time. That way you can avoid having that $41 late payment fee. Now, as far as foreign transactions go, thankfully with this card, there are no foreign transactions. So if you do happen to travel abroad, it's definitely a card you can take with you because you will not be hit with those extra fees that some cards actually charge up to, let's say, like 3% for foreign transaction fees. And finally, as far as annual fees go, with this card, it's definitely a keeper card because there are no annual fees. This is definitely a great benefit because with many other cards out there, you might have an annual fee that's say like $95, possibly even more. And then with those cards, you have to consider whether or not they're worth keeping on a year-to-year basis, whether or not you're bringing in enough benefits to offset whatever you're paying for that card on a year-to-year basis. So now that we went over the main features of this card as well as the APR and fees, I'm now going to go ahead and dive into what I would consider to be the biggest pros and cons of this credit card before summing everything up. So we're going to start out with the good things. So the first good thing, obviously, is that spend bonus. So once again, as long as you're able to spend at least $1,000 within the first 90 days of having this card, you will receive that spend bonus of 20,000 points, which is equivalent of right around $200. So that's a pretty good benefit there. Also, you're going to have all those different categories. You're going to be earning 4 points per dollar spent on dining, takeout, and restaurant delivery. You're going to be earning 2 points per dollar spent at grocery stores, streaming services, gas stations, and EV charging stations. And then on all other transactions, a measly 1 point per dollar spent. Then you're also going to have the 0% introductory APR on both purchases and balance transfers. That way, if you have a lot of larger transactions coming up, you could definitely use that card for that and then slowly pay it off over 12 months rather than possibly paying interest if you're not able to pay off that larger transaction right away. And then of course with the balance transfer, if you currently have a higher balance with another card that you're currently paying a lot of interest on a month-to-month basis, you could always consider transferring the balance from that card over to this card. And once again, for the first 12 months, you will not be paying any type of interest. Just make sure to pay the minimum payment. Also, you don't have an annual fee with this credit card. That's definitely a pro as well. You don't have to sit around and consider whether or not it's worth keeping on a year-to-year basis because you're not paying for anything for it anyways. And then finally, there's also no foreign transaction fees. So if you do happen to travel outside the country, it is definitely a card you can take with you. Not to mention, unfortunately, a lot of websites are actually, whenever you make a transaction on certain websites, they're actually tracked as being a foreign transaction fee, and you get hit with like another 3% fee with some other cards. With this card, there are no foreign transaction fees, so that's not really anything that you have to worry about. So those are the good things about this card. Now we're going to go ahead and dive into what I would consider to be the drawbacks. And really the only drawback that I could really consider with this card that I would say, if there's not an annual fee, don't really have a lot of bad things to say about this card, other than the fact that maybe the rewards are just a little bit complicated. So once again, you have the 4 points per dollar spent category, you have the 2 points per dollar spent category, and then once again, on all other transactions, you will be earning 1 point per dollar spent. So you may not always remember which category you're going to be earning 4 points or 2 points or 1 points in. So for the average credit card user, this might be a lot to track, and you might just be better off using a credit card that, say, for instance, you're just going to be earning 2% cash back or 2 points per dollar spent in. So it is a little bit complicated perhaps for the average user, but for those who really want to get the best bang for their buck as far as credit card rewards go, this might be more worthwhile for you. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.